Hi, this is Ann DeSantis, and I am the director for the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation for Freedom, Family, and Faith. Thank you so much for joining us for this presentation. I'm so blessed because I have with me Gerlinde Lammer. She is coming to us from the Western United States, and she's a friend of the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation, as their organization Decided Excellence, which is at decidedexcellence.com, has been such a great friend of ours, publishing some articles for their publications, and we're so grateful to you. So thank you, and it's so great to be with you this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to be with you.
Thank you. I wonder, Gerlinde, if you could tell us a little bit about Decided Excellence. We had another one of your coworkers join us for another presentation, James Keller, and I say hello to James and thank you for joining us on the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation videos. So please tell us a little bit about, if you would, about Decided Excellence.
So Decided Excellence is like regional magazines that connect local Catholic parishes and local businesses together. The magazine then gives the small business person an opportunity to advertise their business, and it gives local parishes the ability. We highlight families, we highlight ministries within parishes. There's a person who writes in one of the magazines who was the director of social justice in the Archdiocese of Portland, and he writes an article. And so it connects everybody in the neighborhood. We're by vicariates out here. So the ones that I happen to be involved with, the vicariate is in suburbia, outside of the Portland metropolitan area. We're still considered metropolitan area, but we're on the suburban part of that, and cover a vast area. And the magazine, when it goes out, connects people that probably wouldn't meet each other because they're not close neighbors.
Yeah, I'm so blessed to have met James and met you, and you've done so much for us by publishing those articles, and I just really commend you for the work that you're doing. I know you also work for a parish.
Yes.
I wondered if you wanted to tell us a little bit about your work there.
I am the assistant to the pastor. So during the COVID-19 experience, we are limited to 50 people at a mass. We happen to be a multicultural parish of 3,500 families, 3 major languages, English, Spanish, and Vietnamese. And I get to answer the phones. And
busy job.
They're registered for a mass time, make appointments for the priest, and also because I have a master's in pastoral ministry myself, do some spiritual direction and some counseling over the phone when there's nobody in the office but me and someone calls and they just need to talk. We also have a food pantry, and so I coordinate the volunteers for St. Vincent de Paul. And lately we've been part of the USDA food box program, and we're giving out close to 4,000 boxes of food a week, drive-through, with an incredible team of volunteers that came from all over.
That's so amazing. And I can't think of a time other than right here at this present moment with all that we've all been through with the COVID-19 pandemic. So I commend you and your church and all the wonderful work that you're doing. So thank you, Gerlinde. Now, you have also a wonderful story of faith, of perseverance. It's also a story of tragedy that you've experienced in your life, with the loss of a child, with a miscarriage, and with other issues that have happened in your life. Now, the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation, we do outreach to families who are in crisis and families affected by divorce and separation. And I believe you were also affected by divorce as well. So I wondered if you could share with us during this video a little bit about yourself, what you've been through, and any advice that you have to help people who are listening who are going through some kind of crisis and need some hope.
Okay. Well, first of all, I've had a blended family for 45 years. We come together for many things, for support. When there's weddings or funerals, we learn to share. We have grandchildren that we share, and the grandchildren only know that they have many grandparents, and they don't have one Christmas, they have several Christmases, they have several
Yeah.
birthdays, and that. We always decided, even though we may not have been good together, we were still family, and we would always be parents no matter what. We have weathered the loss of our first child, who was 12. She was on her way home with her father for a family visit with her sister, my middle child, when the car went off the road. And Karen was the fatality in that. But out of that came, we were organ donors. And 6 people lived because we were able to make that decision of donating organs. And it was a tough time in that I was fighting grief, and there's physical repercussions for fighting with grief.
Yes.
It's an emotion, I believe, that God gave us so that we heal. You have to grieve a loss, or the grief will overtake you, overwhelm you, and will shut you down until you do. It was a very hard time. I had some incredible people who stood beside me to kind of hold me up during that. And I write about the grief, befriending grief, in the magazines, because I think we're afraid to talk about grief.
Amen.
It does feel like when you're in the middle of it, you feel like you're dying because there's no hope, and you just want to give up. I wrote recently about, I was in a head-on car collision coming home midday from a volunteer work at a parish of a friend, slid into another car head-on, and during my hospital stay, there were moments of breakdown when I realized my left leg was snapped, my right ankle was shattered, and I walk like the Tin Man some days, who forgot to use the oil can, but thank goodness for titanium and a lot of support. I walk with a limp. I don't run, but then I didn't run before, so we're okay with that. The rehab center was probably my biggest place where I experienced the worst grief I had ever felt, in that I thought there was nothing left in my life that God had left for me to do, and became despondent, was sobbing one night, and partially I think because I understood why people would rather die than go to a rehab center when you're older. And I was only in my 50s. I mean, I was the youngest person in the rehab center. And a nurse came in. The rotation of staff was, I had never realized how much staff rotates through care centers. This woman came in because my husband was at a loss of what to say to me, and that she held my hand and told me her husband was a pastor. And when the congregation couldn't pay him because they didn't have enough funds, she took a job because they had children. And she says, I don't talk about God at my jobs. It's not allowed. But tonight, God has called me to come and talk to you and remind you how much you're loved. I would start crying again. I'll probably cry now. It was a profound moment of realizing I was still dealing with grief. Life had changed once again, and I was in a wheelchair, dependent on people and all that. And her words, along with other people along the way, encouraged me on. I work at that point, with the Hispanic community, and with a name like Gerlinde, no, I don't speak Spanish. German was my first language.
Yeah, okay.
I speak really good Spanglish. They were there helping me along the way. And when I was able to come home, I got to lead the Palm Sunday processional from a wheelchair with a young girl behind me pushing me. and then helped me up the ramp to get to the other side of the church and that. I think the last loss that was even more profound was my middle daughter, who had survived the car accident, had waited. She tried to have children, finally had my granddaughter, Lexi, who was 8, wasn't feeling well when Lexi was probably a year old, and found out she had a tumor in her liver, inoperable. And if it had been found when it's usually found when people are older, 60s to 70s, and they have months to live at the most. So there's no longevity studies. She had 15 months. And we spent, I had to learn how to be a mom at my age with a toddler, because Dad worked graveyard. And I would get the phone calls of, Mom, I'm really tired from chemo. Could you come take Lexi? And watched her just, I'm thinking the sorrow she felt knowing she wouldn't see her daughter grow up. Krista lasted 15 months. Lexi is a delightful person. She knows her mom. Because her mom was a hairdresser, and she'd always go, do you think Mom would like my hair this way or that way? Through all of it, I have to say, if I didn't have the promise of the resurrection, it all would not seem worthwhile. Everything that I valued, I felt had been taken away. But it wasn't until I recognized it was grief that was clouding everything I believed in, and allowed myself some nights to sob, some days to say, I just need to stay home today because I don't feel well. And it was an emotional not feeling well, that I learned to value grief, to know you never go back to what was normal. It's a new normal.
Yeah, new normal.
Mary, I'm sure, Mary, the Blessed Mother, life was different for her when she lost her son and he rises from the dead, because I believe she really didn't know, because if she did, she wouldn't have brought burial salts to the tomb.
That makes sense.
She would have brought clean clothes like any mother would have bought on that. And how her life changed when he went to the cross, and how her life changed when he was risen. And it's when you embrace the change, and you can't embrace it alone. You need partners here that are, I believe, the hands and eyes and the face of Christ. Jesus is not taken off the cross, but he is sent Mary of Magdala, his mother, John, to be at the foot of the cross to say, you are not alone. We are the face of God for you. And we know it hurts, and we hurt with you, but we're here. And hold on.
You are such a woman of deep faith. I'm truly honored. Honestly, the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation is truly honored to interview you for this video. And we hope to have you back again, because it's really, truly a wonderful thing when you can talk to somebody like yourself who's been through so much, but yet you still have faith, and you still believe and hold on to your Catholic faith and your beliefs, and you really do truly know the Lord. We meet the Lord in our suffering, and I know you have. Are there any places that people who are watching this video, if they want to read more about your story, is there a place that they can go to find? I know that you had sent me, those articles that you wrote.
They can email me, and I can send them a copy. I do kind of writing for the parish. Like right now, I'm in the middle of 30 days of thanks and praise, where I send out a little bit of a reflection on a part of a daily reading, suggestions on what you can do for giving thanks and praise in these 30 days, and then an opportunity to pray, and then once a week, there's a Google form I put in there anonymously what you're thankful for, and I share it with the group. It's anonymous. I don't put names with it. And then it goes out to the group. So they're more than welcome to email me, or if they would like any of the stories, I can send it to them. I have had dreams of publishing a book someday, but you know, I'm more like a Grandma Moses. It's going to be when I'm 90.
Yeah, it's hard to find time to do everything. So tell us your email address so people can reach out if they're watching this and say, oh, wow, I would love to hear those stories. I'd love to read them.
So it's Glamer, GLAM as in Mary, ER, at decidedexcellence.com.
Okay, very, very good. Thank you very much. I wondered, as we're ending this video, this is a short one. We're going to have you back again for another part 2, I hope. It'd be wonderful. But if you could give maybe a few tips to people who, they've been through some difficulty with this pandemic. Maybe it was something to do with sickness or job loss or family relationship breakup or death in the family or the death of a child or a loved one. Would you have any advice for them in helping to develop their faith and really understand how much God loves them so they can get through this time?
Well, one of the things I want to remind people is we all assume churches are closed. They are not. We were at 10 for a while. That's a small mass. But we're at 50, and we have daily mass. And people, you don't have to belong to the parish that you go to. I do you can go on the U.S. Council of UCCB, U.S. Catholic Council of Bishops for the daily readings. My husband is a little older, and he's a little bit more timid about going back to church. I go with my granddaughters to the school mass, but he loves to go on the internet and go to different churches, masses online. I think we are a people of senses, and our senses have to be engaged to know God. And so even people say it's Zoom, but you still see the candles, you hear the music, and we remember, when I was learning to walk again, I had to touch things because my brain had remapped after 6 months in a wheelchair of how to do balance. So I would walk around and be at the office and people go, what are you doing? So I'm touching things. I'm going, I'm balancing, that.
Right.
So we have to do what our body says is familiar and have faith that the new norm will be different. But that's okay because we are a people of change. The people who came out of Egypt and went across the Red Sea had to spend the time in the desert to learn how to be free people because they had generations of learning how to be slaves.
No, that's good advice.
Yeah, we need to take the time to remember what it is to be free people who can read the scriptures, who can connect with people, whether it's via Zoom or a phone call. Even counselors are doing in sessions via Zoom. Yeah. I do Girl Scout meetings with kindergarten on Zoom.
It is a gift because here we are. You're is it Oregon, right? Or you're
I'm
Washington,
in Oregon.
Yes.
Yeah,
and I'm here in Philadelphia area, Pennsylvania, all the way across the other side of the country. And we can come together as friends and talk about this. So
absolutely.
What a blessing. What a blessing. Would you like to come back to another video with us?
Sure.
Yeah.
Let me know.
That would be incredible. Thank you so much for the beautiful work that you're doing with Decided Excellence and at your church, and also just ministering to people one-on-one. I know that you've helped us so much, the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation. We're so grateful that you've been able to help us spread the word. So
you're more than welcome.
Thank you, Gerlinde. Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much. And we say thank you to James Keller for the introduction too. Thank you, James.
He's a good guy.
He really is. He really is. Before we end this video, I just want to invite people who are watching to learn more about the work that we do at our website. It's nonnatus.org. I am the director of the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation for Freedom, Family, and Faith. We help families in crisis, especially families who are affected by divorce and separation. So reach out to me. My email is director.srnf, as in Frank, @gmail.com. So hope to hear from you. Gerlinde, again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll see you all next time from the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation for Freedom, Family, and